Hi, my name is Victoria Scott, and I'm a staff writer with The Drive, and today I'm calling about old computers. And there, now I've introduced myself the same way I've introduced myself to everyone else in my entire life.
Oh my gosh. Are you calling me about my car's extended warranty?
No, no, although 90% of people I cold call for stories think I am, so.
Okay, well, sorry. Give me just a second. We appear to
No,
be
it's
having some
fine.
trouble in chat right now. Actually, there's some stuff going on.
Ooh, can I fight anyone?
No, I'm sorry. Just a moment.
You can hand out my,
Who are we?
Can't even keep up.
Yep, I know. Give me just a second.
You can hand out my Twitter.
Okay.
I'm used to this.
All right,
I live in it every day.
All right, well, I'm just gonna, real quick, if I look over and I see anyone doing anything I don't like, I'm gonna ban you. No discussion. So shut up now. All right.
Shout out to Alex, who completely got me.
Anyway, I do have a couple more faxes here I wanted to share before we started. Before we get right into it, just because this one here is just killing me. Can we go ahead and go to camera 3 for a moment? Oh, that's right. It's kind of hard to see. Here, just hit the zoom lever on there. We got this. No, the rocker right next to you there. There you go. Yeah, just get in there. Let's get some focus. There we go. It can't rain all the time. I don't know what this is, but
like
it's
that.
very, very good. Anyways, there's that one. Also, somebody, I'm not sure exactly who this is. I'm still working on that tally light system with the dot matrix LEDs, the one that curses Baltimore on takes. There's some circuitry here. I was talking to somebody on Discord about that, but I forget who it was. Somebody has tried to send me about 16 times. I'm not, I don't think it's your fault, but about 16 times this picture of a VCR from the, Baltimore? No, Canadian Museum of Science and Technology in China. We also have an asparagus, but this one is really what we were getting to. It's the fax cat.
Oh my god.
There he is.
Oh my god, that's incredible.
That's the fax cat.
Look at him.
He's wonderful. I love him.
He's amazing.
All right, the fax is technically still going to be available after the stream is over, but I don't know. That's so much. Okay, we're going to ignore chat for the rest. Since people are being crappy, we're just going to ignore chat. Chat doesn't exist. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get a team of moderators for this. I had a couple people earlier, but people couldn't stay around all
I
day
don't
long,
mind at
so.
all. Don't worry.
I mind. I think people shouldn't suck.
But
let's ignore them and talk about cars, because that's what we're here to do.
Oh god.
So,
Fuck yes.
so you don't do computers. You used to do computers.
I did. I was a software engineer for about 5 years. I got a computer science degree from Kent State. I worked at a small, independent firm doing digital certificate management for a while, and then I worked at NASA for a bit, and I burned out, and I became an automotive writer. I freelanced for a year, and now I'm a full-time staff writer at The Drive.
This is not terribly different than the recurring nerd fantasy of going to live on a farm. It's like, computers are so bad that I'm just going to go till. I'm going to till.
I basically did that too, because for the first 6 months of my freelance career, I bought a van and went and lived out of it, and wrote a story about being an early transition trans woman, and
which was breathtaking.
and trying to rediscover myself, and traveling around the U.S. and basically escaping all computer screens except for the MacBook I kept in my van, which was not
unfortunately you
connected to
escaped them a
internet.
bit too much, as I recall. Or was that not on that trip? Was it?
Which one?
I just the initial, the whole big trip. I mean, I know you spent some time in a not the best situations, not exactly a Holiday Inn.
No, I definitely broke my van and was homeless for a few months in an abandoned house in Hollywood. But
outstanding. Yeah.
I mean, it built character.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you say in Hollywood?
Yeah, I literally could see the Hollywood sign from the front door of the house I was staying in.
You too have had a terrible time in L.A. Like most
oh
people
my
I've
god,
known.
yes.
It's absolutely the worst.
I mean, the thing about LA is it is incredibly cruel in that, oh god, the creative opportunities there. I'm a photographer, I'm a writer.
Right.
I have aspirations of shooting music videos someday, or getting involved in video production.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
You talked about the idea that we'd love to get together and collab on. See if we can get some I don't know about music videos necessarily. We'd have to have the music, but just some car videos. and I'd love to see what we could put together. I
would adore that. Yeah,
so
like
much fun.
I want to try to translate my visual skills in photography into, moving pictures.
I feel like it's something where if you feel you can do it, it almost certainly means you can.
I have currently willed my way into 2 professions and a gender change. So at this point, I probably could do cinematography.
Apparently, yeah, I think so.
But in Los Angeles, those opportunities fall in your lap because everyone who's there does those things. You can just meet somebody who is like, oh wow, you want to shoot a music video? Well, like I know this little band, and then they hook you up, and then you get to shoot a music video.
Yeah. There's people out there looking for this service. If you can get yourself in the right place at the right time, they will use you.
Exactly, and if you have literally all of the cultural capital the United States has ever produced in a single place. You go to Griffith Park, you go to the Hollywood sign, you go downtown, you go to the Angeles Crest, like you go to Long Beach. You go to Santa Monica. Like there's all of these incredibly steeped in historical culture places that you can just kind of lean on for your whatever your creative project is. So there's that side of things. Then there's also like they literally loathe homeless people there. I know this. Yeah. And it's also just like prohibitively expensive, and it does favor like a certain type of person who I'm not.
The California experience, highly stratified, to put it mildly.
So I live in Reno, Nevada now, because it was the closest I could get to the West Coast while still affording it.
So many people. That's kind of the Seattle experience as well, right? Because it may not be cheap up here, but it's still like, we're the reverse catch basin for California.
Yes. Also to answer Ron Joe, real quick, I just peeked at the chat. It's an eternity color. Yes.
There was actually, I said I wouldn't look at chat, but I looked over and I glanced and people were being anti-shitty. So I'm back in a little bit.
Okay, good.
So somebody did ask what you think about the upcoming F1. Was it Monaco? Did I see someone say Monaco?
No, Miami was this weekend. I think that was probably the one that people were most excited for. It was a new circuit they built with a fake marina
That's dumb.
It was the second U.S. race in the calendar. I will be totally honest. I've been on, There's Your Problem podcast, who's a friend of mine.
No, Your Problem has been on your stream. That happened. That literally happened.
That's true too.
The entire cast of There's Your Problem podcast materialized on Discord. They all called her at once during a fundraiser stream and just had a podcast.
It was so good.
It was very good.
It was so good.
It was very delightful. I loved it.
But I'm on the record on that show.
I'm sorry. Someone is asking. We're getting questions in chat. Where can they go to see your stuff? And I realized I don't have any sort of social media. I think.
It's
there
fine.
We go. There we go. There's a Twitter up there. You can start from there and jump to many other places.
Twitter is a good place. That's where I post the most. My website is vantimevictoria.com.
Oh, you actually got that .com? Get out.
Oh yeah. I have the domain for it.
That is a juicy.com.
I haven't updated it in a little bit, but I try to keep my latest features on there.
Right.
And then The Drive, which is where I work. And it's a site that I'm honestly really proud to work at. Is it remarkable?
I'm sorry. We keep...
Go for it.
I keep thinking of this question. Is it remarkable to you, or have you gotten any feedback on the fact that you are a extremely competent automotive writer who can also provide hero picks for all their own articles? Have you gotten any love for that? Because that must be a hell of a privilege for the people you work for.
Legitimate truth. So when I was freelancing, there were a couple of sites I worked for that did not use my images. They only used the press photos that came with like the reviews and stuff I did.
Criminals.
And one of the things I was super excited for with The Drive was that they were like, we love your pictures. Can we use them for our stories? And I was like, of course. I enjoy doing this. So no, I adore that. And actually what's cool too is my editors at The Drive have let me run my own series about automotive photography called Picture Perfect, and I've been enjoying that a lot too. So, I mean, they definitely like the fact that I like taking pictures, and I'm thrilled because I have spent 15 years getting good at it, and I would really like to show people.
Yeah, and your photography is great. I think your writing is on par with the That's great, actually. The way I said that was fantastic. Because it's like, your photography's great, writing's okay. What I meant
That's
was...
also how I feel too, though, so it's fine.
What I meant was that I think they're on par with each other. On the same level. I realize that this, so far, this interview has just been me telling Vicky that she rocks. But you know what? My friends rule. And look, I just had a whole bunch of people on here for your entertainment, and now I'm gonna boost my friend who's doing great work. You know, after like, because we had Jalopnik for a bit, and then we kind of didn't, I think. And for a bit,
look,
there were car articles I wanted to read. I'm not that much of a car person. I used to be, but it's been a bit of a paucity as far as things I care about reading about cars. And you've definitely done quite a bit to move that pendulum.
I've been trying, and I mean the thing is like it's not just me anymore. So like, there was another automotive writer for driving.ca who came out recently, Elle Aldler, who is a phenomenal writer. I adore her work, and like, she's a trans woman like me. She reviewed the Ford Raptor through the hyper-masculine lens of her final story before she announced her transition. It was one of the coolest features I had read in a long time. I adored that.
Didn't you write about a Dodge car being deeply and immensely masked?
I did. It was the Dodge Viper. Yeah, that was one of my feature
yeah.
stories for the drive. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we also have Mercedes Streeter, who is a Jalopnik writer. I mean, and she does phenomenal work, and she's a really cool car fleet, and she embodies a lot of like what I grew up liking Jalopnik with, and she's a trans lady, and she's a fucking great writer.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, I swore.
That's the first F-bomb on the entire stream.
I'm so sorry. Shit. Oh, I was trying.
Horns.
Well, it happened.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
I won't say it again.
It was
that
gonna
was
happen.
The only one you get.
It's late over there, isn't it? Or wait, are you in Pacific
It's
still?
6:30. Yeah, I'm in Pacific time. It's 6:30,
Oh,
and I'm
I
just
thought you
like,
were-
I've
I thought
had
you
2
were in another
beers,
state
and I'm
right now.
nervous.
All right,
No,
anyway.
I'm just anxious. There's
That's
500
fair.
people
That's fair.
watching me.
But it's incredibly funny. You're the person who finally dropped an F-bomb on the stream, because when we were doing rehearsals, I was within the first 10 minutes. Not only did I say the F word, which we're perfectly allowed to say. There's no reason not to. I just don't think it fits the tone I wanted. But I not only said the F word, but I said the mother F word. The one that George Carlin broke out on his list of the 7 words you can't say on TV, which is interesting because it's a compound word. You can say mother, and you can say it without or with the other one, but the other one you can't say without that one. So why he never figured that out in all of his years, I don't know. Rip. Anyway, I'm sorry. Cars.
If you have to cut my segment from the saved stream, that's fine.
yeah. We'll definitely. We'll be. Kill it. We're out.
Yeah.
Let's get an explosion. There we go. All right. There we go. We're out. Can you tell this is our last interview of the day, folks?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Everyone here is grown up.
So for what it's worth, I did spend like 7 hours today working on a feature story that I'm trying to drop next week. So like,
oh yeah,
I do work pretty hard at this.
Anyway,
but no, and then there's the other person I just wanted to call out was Cameron Obernon, who does a lot of freelancing, and her most recent stuff has been for Slash Gear. But like, there are trans women in the automotive industry. It's super cool. Like, people should know it. It's not just me. There are
just about every industry.
There are lots of girls like us who love cars. So.
And
that's,
you know what
that's
I
my
like
whole
is,
spiel.
Well, I'm a big fan of your approach to cars. There's probably some amount of people in chat who either detest them entirely, fair, or whatever. We've had conversations about this. You know, the take is we all do, but they're here right now, and so it's like seeing the great big gaping hole in the earth that the bombs fell in, and you're like, wow, we may all die soon. But man, what it did to the rock is really interesting. We can't make the cars go away. So while they're here, not right now anyway, we can't just snap our fingers. So while they're here, it's fascinating to keep up with them, like many other things. I remembered. I have some questions written down for you, and because we had such a sort of a rocky setup, I completely forgot. Yeah, here we go. Because the first one here was actually, is it nice to once again live in a house made of wood and drywall and not metal, and that also has functioning electricity? I think we covered that. But I didn't remember to ask you, since you left, you left Texas. You were in California for a while, and fortunately got out of there. And now you're in Reno. And what's interesting about that is that you've probably had good food the whole time, the whole way, in all these places. Because you haven't ended up stuck in the PNW with our terrible tacos yet. So you have not had a time. You've never had a time when you couldn't get a decent taco.
No,
That's so
there's a
wrong.
great place here. I mean, there's a La Michoacana, I think. I forget how it's pronounced.
It doesn't matter. It's because in California, it's whichever place is nearest.
Yeah, basically. Like, there's one like a mile from my place, and it's got good tacos, and it's like cool.
You also have a Wiener Schnitzel. Well, an In-N-Out, but let's not get into that.
Yeah, I think so.
But anyway, I had some questions written here, and it was, what is the fastest you have ever gone in a car? But I think I sort of know the answer to that because you were, was it NASCAR I saw you in?
So the fastest I've ever gone in a car that I can legally admit on a public stream is I got to review an Acura NSX Type S for Slash Gear as my last freelance story.
Wait, that's the one from the 90s, isn't it?
So they had the original NSX from the 90s, and then they recreated it as a all-wheel drive hybrid in this generation. Came out in like 2016. The Type S is the final version. It's like the coolest. It's got the best suspension, whatever. It's tuned to be the most fun to drive, so I enjoyed it. But they took us to Daytona Beach, Florida, and let us go fucking wild.
There it is again?
God damn it.
That's also on the list.
Sorry. Is that also on the list?
You may use words like freaking, frigging, fracking, if fragging, if you're a big fan of Babylon 5.
Can I say gosh darn it?
There you go. Oh, gosh darn it.
Okay. All right. Well, so gosh darn it, they let us go freaking to Daytona Beach International Speedway.
That was really loud. Mixing swear levels. All right. Anyway, do you know how fast you went?
147 miles an hour.
Okay. What is the fastest you ever gone in a car that wasn't built for it?
My old Toyota Supra, a speed that I will not name in public.
Oh, you were doing it on a closed course.
3 more years passed.
It was on a closed course.
On a closed course in my Supra, 139 miles an hour.
Outstanding. Now, as a Supra, and at the time you had it, it must have been at least 20 years old. Or did you have a newer one? Because
It was 29 years old.
Okay, outstanding.
I had a 1988.
And nothing came off.
No.
Outstanding.
It shook like crazy when I got on the brakes because those pads were worn.
We've got some more time on the schedule here. I have you blocked for as much as we need, really. So talk about your van.
Oh my God, my van. My van it's a 1995 Toyota Hiace.
The last year you could import from Japan.
Yeah,
right.
So it's a 25-year sliding scale, so you can't import anything newer than 25 years old, or otherwise it's not legal in the U.S. because of EPA and DOT restrictions. But so my van hit 25 early last year. It was imported in March. I saw it and I was like, this is so cool. And then I went through some life changes. I had switched my career. I had gotten out of a long-term relationship, and I didn't know what I wanted to do next. And so I had never traveled as a child. My family went to the same beach every couple of years.
Mood, yeah.
And
I never made it more than 100 miles out of my hometown until I moved out.
Yeah. It was one of those things where it's just like I never got to see anything, and so I was like, I was a year into transition, and I was like, I want to go see the world as me. As Victoria, I think that I should understand the place I live in. So I bought this van. Sold a couple other cars, bought the van, and it's a 3.0 turbo diesel, super custom. So it comes with a bed, a fold-out bed, electric curtains. It's got a 3-liter inline-4 turbo diesel power plant that is just incredibly stout. They used it in the Hiace, and then as well as the Land Cruiser Prado and the Hilux. So if you're familiar with like international market Toyota products, it's just like the most robust motor they could make.
The AMC inline 6 of Toyotas.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I had faith in this thing. I knew it would not let me down.
And then
Well, I mean, she didn't let me down. I did
That's
that to
fair.
her.
That's fair. That's fair.
But I bought it, and I traveled around the U.S. for about 6 months last year, and I fell in love with the desert. I spent a bunch of time in L.A. I shattered some of the undercarriage on a rock on a mountain I was driving up, and I had to fix it with handcuffs and drive it down 15 miles of mountain to a small town where I could get it towed to a repair shop. I spent a bunch of time homeless after my van was in the shop in Los Angeles. But then I went out to the desert when she was fixed, and I just... There's
Wait, I'm
something
sorry.
about...
Did we just spot a Bert? Was there a Bert? Could there have been?
Oh, shit. There probably was a bird. Do you want me to go get him?
Somebody said, I saw a kitty.
All right. Give me 1 second.
This is worth it, folks.
Bert.
This is worth it.
1 second.
And... We'll, Oh, here he comes. Here comes a special boy. Here comes a special
Hi,
boy.
everyone.
That's Bert.
Say hi.
Hello. Bert has resting sad face, but he's actually a very happy kitty. He always looks morose, but he's an absolute sweetheart. He's a big orange kitty who is always wonderful.
Okay.
And he's round. That was Bert. I introduced him. I explained everything anyone
Thank
needs
you.
to know about Bert. There he goes.
That's my
There goes
son.
the tail.
Yep, he's off somewhere else. He was annoyed at
Delightful.
me.
By the
He
way,
was-
just
he
a
was-
moment. I do just want to mention, just so everyone knows, the reason you're hearing a little bit of echo is because Vicky is a speaker over there. You may have noticed me looking over here. There's a speaker just blasting her voice at me because I had no other solutions. So I'm sorry. There's just a tiny bit of delay between the two. As long as she's legible, I'm not going to mess with it. We'll just make it worse. And I'm sorry, Gibbs will not be here because Gibbs is quite some distance away, and he would get out and leave, and then we wouldn't have Gibbs anymore. So, anyway,
I'm thrilled at chat because everyone loves Bert. And that
yes,
was really what I
everyone-
needed.
everyone's going nuts,
He's-
which is
Yeah,
appropriate.
he's the best. It's great.
He's a good cat.
Yeah,
10 out
I
of
love
10.
him. Like I moved to, I went through the desert. I went back to Houston. I was like, I gotta move. I want to find somewhere better for me, and I moved to the desert. I live in Reno, Nevada, and Bert keeps me company a lot because I moved to a new city without knowing anyone, and I travel a lot for work, which makes it hard to make friends. But
Kitty.
I do a lot of desert photography. I'm starting. I've got a couple of creative projects in the works. I can talk about those
I
whenever. but
really
that's-
wish that I had I'm sorry, folks. This is on my least developed OBS scene. We were in a bit of a rush for this part, and I can't put any pictures of her photography up on the screen. But seriously, it is striking. It is remarkable work. I used to do still photography. I could not do it. I know what it takes to take these pictures. Definitely, there's her Twitter again. You should chase it down and take a look at some of her photos. Just absolutely great stuff.
I'm sorry, just real quick, I have to address a comment in the chat. Somebody said, Victoria, the van, how fast have you gotten the van up to?
It's not a-
130 kilometers an hour, which is about 78 miles an hour.
Even
is
that,
as fast
I
as she
knew that
goes.
was KPH, and I was still like, 80 in that thing is terrifying. I did 40 and I was scared. And well, it is right-hand drive.
So the speed limit on I-80, which is the big interstate that goes through the northern section of Nevada from Reno to like Elko and Salt Lake City, is it's 80 miles an hour. I can't do that. I get passed by semi-trucks.
Okay.
But it's
All right,
my
fair.
house. Like, it's got a bed in it. It's got curtains. I don't knock her for that.
Absolutely. All right, and I don't know if I have time for the clutch story. I kind of want to tell the clutch story. I don't want to talk over you too much, but
Do it. Do it.
But I did like
Travis,
the reaction last
this
time.
This is your show to run. You've been doing this all day. If you're tired, don't do it.
I am
but I wanna
actually
hear it.
getting on towards exhausted, and I want to tell the clutch story. And your reaction last time was wonderful, and now I've got you on video. So, I'm just going to go ahead and tell this story.
I'm gonna grab my beer and I want to listen to this.
Outstanding. So, all right. So, I didn't used to have a lot of money. I don't have a ton of money now, but I'm a little more comfortable than I was for sure. I was destitute for many years, and then I was just very bad with my money for many years, and then I had a very strange period in my life after a partner of mine passed away very suddenly, where I was just sort of flapping, just kind of unhinged and spending my money in stupid ways. And so I was just broke all the time. And me and my friend Gordy, who was actually going to be on here, and he was going to tell some wild stories, and unfortunately he had to leave at the last moment and bailed. So I just it's actually a good thing, because I would have had to run the show even longer, and my neck hurts. Anyway, we were, the story goes like this. I used to drive a 92 Subaru Legacy, which is a wonderful car. Anyone who's driven a Subaru of that variety, they're all the same. Subaru made the same car for 30 years. They just named it different things, and they made it more or less curved, but they used the same engine, the same, I think, transmission. They had a lot of similar parts and like almost identical drivetrain. And so I had this Subaru Legacy, 92 Subaru Legacy wagon. And it's an all-wheel drive, right? So I got it because, by the way, your van is all-wheel drive, isn't it? Or is it?
Yeah, of course.
It is.
Absolutely.
Okay. Of course. Right. See, I love the of course, because I cannot bring myself to get a non-all-wheel drive car. I just can't do it anymore. It's so convenient, right?
I live in the desert. I want to climb up mountains. Marshall's great for that.
And I live in the PNW, where it's wet, and sometimes I have gone to mountains. Pardon me. And it's ridiculous to get stuck in place, right? You know, I used to have, I had a 1983 Honda Accord, a liftback. Right? Can we just have a moment?
Okay, secret
Go.
for your reviewers, just real quick. I'm reviewing a 1978 Honda Accord liftback, or the Drive.
Perfect car.
So first generation, I'm not going to spoil the whole review, but it's incredible.
Wonderful.
Honda's Accord is the platonic ideal of what a vehicle should be.
Correct, yes. A 1991 Honda Accord sedan is car. It is car.
Yes.
And the cool thing about it is that it will be car in 30 years. Like, they won't stop. They just continue according. They also have the most comfortable seats of any car I've ever been in. You can do 1,400 miles in one of those things, and it's like you're in a Barca Lounger. It's just ridiculous. So anyway, so I had this 92 Legacy station wagon, and I'm pulling into the Carl's Jr. drive-thru, and the sequence of events goes exactly like this. I look down at my phone, I say, I'm overdrawn, and I put my foot down and the clutch cable snaps. So now I'm sitting in a drive-thru with no clutch control and no money whatsoever. I cannot have it towed. And I do not have the, obviously, the part that I need to fix it. So the question is, how do we make it go? But then where do we take it, right? Because, without clutch control, you can't shift. So even if you could, push it and get it rolling, even if you get it into gear, you can't clutch, which means that you cannot properly.
My expert opinion as a car rider here is yes, without a clutch you cannot shift. Gravis is correct, everyone.
So, some people may have heard of a technique called power shifting. Now, very briefly, the idea is the purpose of a clutch in a car is that it disconnects the engine from the input of the transmission, so you no longer have extra pressure, extra force coming into the transmission. But that does not mean that you can shift gears effortlessly at that point. They're still spinning. The output shaft of the transmission is spinning. It's spinning the final reduction. That's spinning the gears that are currently coupled to the output shaft very, very fast, definitely faster than the engine, and definitely faster than the disconnected engine, which is now spinning down. So when you press in the clutch and you go to shift, there is a mismatch in speed, which means that the gears are going to want to skate over each other instead of going together. Back in the 30s, the way you solved this problem was by wrenching the gear shift over with the clutch in, and then just thrusting on it as hard as humanly possible. Now, you've driven something with a crash box, I assume.
I have. So it was an MGA. It had a crash box first, second.
Perfect.
So second was unsynchronized, but the rest of the gears were.
Oh, that's terrific.
It's awful, and the thing is, you can kind of make it more gentle. So what you do is you clutch in, and you lightly pull back on the for like a 1-2 throw. So going from top to bottom, you basically lightly pull back, and you feel the gate for 2, and you don't kind of pull back on it until it just matches RPM and transmission RPM.
Wait, so are
and
you
then
using
it'll
the
slot
friction
in.
between the gears to do that?
Yeah, basically. You're basically,
Awful.
it's not grinding. You're just kind of feeling it for that kind of resistance, because it's not going to want to slot in at all
Right.
until they're close to matched.
It doesn't
and so then
seem
when
like
you
it should be
finally feel
possible.
it grab, it'll almost suck itself in. It's a really weird sensation. I have never really found a great way to describe it. I'm not good at doing it. I ground gears in that car, unfortunately. It was a beautiful MGA. My friend B. Squicklehausen, the City Skylines modder, his dad owns it, and it was like this gorgeous concours example. And he was like, "You want to drive it?" And I was like, "Of course I do." And so then we get on the street, 1, 2, just, and I was like, "I'm so sorry."
It's just arresting, right? And then up in
yeah,
the,
it was humbling.
later in the 30s, but particularly in like the 40s and 50s, they started to put synchro mesh gears into cars. And that's basically where you've got a clever little clutch assembly in there. Long story, won't get into it. I don't fully understand them, so I sure don't want to try to explain it. Basically the idea is, what you really should do in a stick shift car is when you go to shift into a new gear, you should accelerate the engine so that it matches the revolutions of the output.
No. So wait. That's downshifting you're thinking of.
Oh, sorry, vice versa. But the point is,
So,
the engine really should be going the same speed as the output, but no one can do that.
Yes.
Most people can't do that. So the synchro mesh is a cheat that basically, it's a clutch system that's built into the gear, an automatic clutch sort of thing that's built into the gears that allows people to shift when they're not perfect at it. People used to be able to drive cars without synchros, but most people are never going to be able to develop that skill properly. And even so, it's still not great.
Well, the other thing too is just like,
it still sucks.
in ye old times, when you drove cars with synchros, the transmissions just wore out faster because you cannot be perfect every single fucking time. So
There
like,
it is, so
Shit.
it was just expected
And
the
I
cars
did it again!
to be worked on more
My
often.
God.
Yeah.
Just cut me off the whole
so much
show.
fun. It's so much. I don't care that you're doing it near. It's so much funnier just that I'm commenting on it. I don't really care, but it is very funny. Anyway.
But I knew.
Yep. It's hard. It's hard to shift a transmission. The synchro mesh makes it a lot easier, but you still really want to take that pressure, that extra torque off the input, because if you just try and force it into gear, it's really, really hard. But it's not impossible.
No, it's not.
Power shifting is when you shift without depressing the clutch. And it's really easy to power shift out of gear. If you're driving a stick shift car, if you've never done this, just push up on the gear shift and just accelerate a little bit. Boop, you'll pop right into neutral, no problem. Getting back into gear is tougher. You basically have to, when you're upshifting, because that's usually what you're going to be doing in this case, you have to rev match, you have to accelerate until you're where you think the gear wants you to be, and then just slam it. Just hit it as hard as you can, and it will pop in. And the car lurches forward, and you're in gear.
Yep.
So we push the car through the drive-thru. We get our burgers. We eat. And then we get out and we start pushing. And we push and we run. And we are running and we are pushing the car out onto the road, and we are running and we dive into the car, and I grab the gear shift and I slam it into first, and it catches and we're off. And fortunately the light is green and nobody is around, and so I just hit it and we're moving. Now the problem is, there's about 500 vertical feet of elevation change and a freeway in between me and home. Now, the shocking thing is we actually made it all the way through the whole freeway segment of this level. I got all the way down this huge hill, got to the freeway, got on, managed to merge, got to my exit. I'm exiting, and I'm realizing as I'm exiting that there's a huge hill to the left. And it's where I have to go. My house is 500 feet or whatever above me. That might not be true. It's a lot of elevation, a couple hundred feet maybe. It's big. So I'm thinking if the light is red when I come to the bottom of this hill, that's it. It's over. There's no way I'm going to be able to get going in order to get up that hill. I won't have enough inertia. But when I get to the bottom, it's still green. So I coast through in like third or fourth gear, gun it, and I'm going up this hill. And there are 2 traffic lights in front of me on the way up this hill. And they're green. And I'm just pushing it and pushing it and doing it and doing it. And I see the one ahead of me go red.
And at that point, you're like, all right.
So it's over.
Can I just blow this?
Right, but I know that like it's a fairly busy intersection. No,
Yeah,
no,
you're
so
gonna die.
I would have died. So I'm pushing it, and I know it's over. So I just pull over into the turn lane, and I put it in neutral, and I'm stopped, and I'm on this hill, and I'm like this. I'm facing it like 30 degrees straight up into the sky, and I'm like, well, there's no way to get moving. We can't push it up, so there's no way to get moving. And so I sit here for a minute, and the thing about being broke is when you're in that situation, you're not going, what are my options? You're not going, should we spend more money to solve this, or should we try and save money? You're going, there is one way out, and that's it. And my choice is whether I'm going to sit here for the rest of my life in this car, in this chicken lane, or do what I have to do. You don't.
I'm only laughing because I've been there.
Yeah. It's like, what am I going to do? Roll down the hill in reverse, slowly, at the bottom, pull into a parking lot, and then get impounded and be in an even worse situation because there's no way for me to get it home from there.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do is I let off the brake, and I let this car start coasting backwards. And when we get up to about 10, 15 miles an hour, I just throw the wheel over as hard as I can. And I pull a J-turn into the opposing lane of traffic, which is fortunately empty. So the car goes like this, comes up, stops, and then starts rolling downward again. And now I'm going forward. Down, but forward, fast enough that I can shift it into first. So I slam it over. And now I'm in first gear, and the car is moving, and I'm going forward in gear, which means I can power shift to the next gear. But I'm going the wrong direction. And I can't stop to turn around. So I just throw the wheel over again. I just turn hard left. And the car just immediately goes into a spin. And we come around, the back end is just completely loose. We come around, we're doing 20, 30 miles an hour downhill in a light rain on a high, steep hill, and we're just fish-flowing around and around and around, and I'm sliding sideways in the correct direction lane of traffic. And I'm sliding, and I'm going, well, I guess that's it, because the car is now moving sideways, not forward.
Just Jason Stathaming your way through life.
And so I'm just sliding sideways, and we hit the curb, and the curb is square, and it pulls both tires off their rims, blows both tires, so now the right side of the car is 4 inches shorter than the left, and we pop up over the curb, and I realize at some point in the 3 hours that elapse in the next 5 milliseconds that the car is going a little bit forward. And so I just step on it. And the car is on the sidewalk and still moving to the side. So when I step on it, I just peel out, all 4 wheels start going, 2 of them are flat, and we just roar up over the side of this hill. It cuts these 2 deep furrows into the side of the embankment, and the car is going, and we're going, and we're going, and we're doing it, and the light is green.
That's a Subaru symmetric all-wheel drive, baby.
Forget the Kia Sophia commercial. This is how they should be selling those Subarus. So yeah, we just rocket up the hill, but we obviously can't make it all the way. So I pull over at a cul-de-sac, and I get out. I've got 1 spare. I call a friend who's got a Subaru. He brings his over. I take his spare. We put 2 donuts on there, so now the car is only 2 inches lower on the right. And like this, he gets behind me, kisses the bumper, and we push the car around, get it going, and I power shift it, and I get it home. Cut to an hour, 2 hours later, I've borrowed money from a friend, and I am laying upside down with my feet up in the air on the back of the driver's side headrest, and I am screaming every single cuss word I can think of. Just every single one as I try and thread this clutch in like freezing weather. I'm trying like, come on, get God, just hurting my vocal cords. But I got it through, and I kept driving that car for another like 6 months. Subaru.
Yeah, no, that.
Yeah.
That is one. So there's 2 things I want to share from this. One, if you are ever broke and your car won't start, it is easier to push start it in reverse than it is forwards.
Oh,
if your clutch
the ratio
works,
is higher?
Yep. So what you do is you have your friend push it backwards if you can, if you're on level ground, and you slam it into reverse, and then you get floored a little bit. get it going until you hear that gear whine, that wee, and then if you have a clutch still, you can actually just shift out and put it in first and keep driving. I've done that with my
Yep.
I had a 1988 Honda Prelude that had a starter that was going, and I was lazy and also broke, and I didn't want to replace the starter, so I would just do that when
Sorry,
it wasn't
we've got a
working.
pro tip. Do not do that.
Okay, it worked for me. It was a $3,000 Honda. So, I mean, if you have a nice car that you like, probably don't do these things. But, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I think they were referring to
was-
my story, but who can say?
Oh, well, I mean, your story worked, though. See, that's the thing,
Yeah.
is when you're broke, you do whatever the fuck you can. So, like, God damn it. Oh, my
I didn't
God.
even say anything that time.
I can't believe myself. I am
This is beautiful.
sorry.
I'm loving it.
Anyway.
Did you get that
no.
$1,000 yet?
You know what? Now I'm going to say it intentionally.
I would deserve it. Touchdown.
I'm sorry. But no, but like when my van broke and I was off-roading or whatever, it was like all I had with me was handcuffs and chains, so I fixed my van with it. I had to
Wonder why you
drive it
had
on public
those.
roads like that. Would not recommend it. It's not a safe thing, but when you are broke and you have what you have, you do what you can.
All right, well,
Not
we're
judging.
over time here by a little bit, so I think I maybe had to cut you a little short. I'm sorry, but I'm
mind.
I'm exhausted anyway, and I didn't make any prep for yours other than what we discussed. So we are going to come back. I'm just going to do a little bit of an outro monologue and just sort of get my thoughts together. So. Vicky, thank you so much.
Just give me 1 second, please.
Oh, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you for letting me come on.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations on 100K.
Thank you.
You do such amazing work. I am so excited for your success. I am
Thank you.
thrilled to be a part of it. Thank you so much.
I thank you to you as well. I hope things keep getting better and better for you. And I think I'm probably going to do more of these shows, probably sooner rather than later. And I'll probably have you back with a more cohesive plan.
Genuinely so entertaining. I
Awesome.
couldn't watch all day because I was writing, but I watched the past 2 hours and I loved it.
Well, thank you so much. I'll talk to you later. And folks, we'll be back in a few minutes here. All right, well, folks, I guess that was my show. Whew. That might not have been what you expected, but I don't really know what would have been. like I said, what do I do if not this? I don't know if it was good. I think it was, but who knows? Maybe it wasn't. This is what I have written here. I think I know otherwise at this point, but still, maybe for some people, maybe it wasn't fun. Maybe it wasn't funny. Maybe it wasn't anything. Maybe maybe I froze up at times. We were just, giggling and doing whatever. Maybe we had dead air.
Oh, it's on that one.
And certainly I can skip the part where it says maybe nobody showed up. So since they didn't, but even if they had, I'm still glad that I tried this because, I always thought maybe this was my one shot. I never thought of myself as a particularly capable performer or presenter before I started doing YouTube. And honestly, at the outset, I wasn't. I didn't think that my personality was going to be a selling point for a YouTube channel. But the thing is, whenever I talk about the meta, like on Patreon or whatever, whenever I talk about whether I'm doing things correctly or not, or satisfying everyone's expectations, what I get told over and over and over is that it doesn't matter, and people are just here to watch me. And this has been strange, to put it mildly. I did not start my YouTube channel planning to make it all about myself. I didn't think that would work, certainly. I don't even know who does do that, but in my case, I genuinely thought that the only way I was going to be able to get anyone to come and pay attention to me would be to have and to show off things that no one else had. That's it, just stuff. So that if you folks wanted to see the stuff, you'd have to come here and watch because you didn't have a choice. You couldn't go anywhere else. And so what's interesting is whenever I do a video like that, one that exists just to show off a really strange device, well, I can't say it gets no views, but it doesn't perform nearly as well as the ones where I apparently in some way just be me, the way I guess everyone wants. Those ones do gangbusters. So I guess there's still some lessons to be learned on my part about how and why I should be doing this. But if I had any doubts about why people seem to keep coming back, those were more or less eliminated during my last big stream, where all of my attempts to actually, if you will, do anything were effortlessly defeated by the serial failure of every piece of technology I had. Nothing worked. The audio didn't work. The video didn't work. Right now, my teleprompter is broken. I wrote a monologue, and it's just, no, don't touch it. It's fine. I'm having to run it by hand over here because, of course, it wouldn't be a stream that I was running unless some piece of equipment I depended on failed, right? It never ends. And that time, everything broke, right? The audio didn't work. The video didn't work. I did not control the horizontal or the vertical. I spent 12 hours adjusting my set live in front of everyone, and I was surprised to be paid handsomely for it. That is to say, for not delivering a product other than, apparently, myself. And that's why this time I decided, if I'm going to do something out of the ordinary, I'm going to do something completely out of my element, something I've never tried before. Firstly, because I apparently have no idea what everyone wants, so maybe this was it. Let me know. Leave comments on the video, because I can't scroll back to the chat. It's way too long, but leave comments. Maybe this was, maybe you really liked this. But secondly, I figured maybe I'll never get a chance to do anything like this again. And, you know, it's what I never knew I always wanted to do. I never knew I wanted to make television. You know, 100,000 subscribers, that's a big number. It's not inconceivable, to be clear. Frankly, there's a surprising number of YouTubers that achieve this. You know, you can just about throw a rock these days and hit somebody, you know, who has this many subscribers, which is not to say it isn't an achievement. It's just that a lot of people have achievements. You know, in a global sense, a lot of people are accomplished. There are people out there who build their own planes and then fly them and don't crash and don't die. And I feel like compared to that, you know, none of us with this particular achievement have really accomplished that much. But, you know, we're still doing our thing. And on a personal scale, this is the most interesting thing that I have ever done in my life. And the thing is that you can't do it without an audience, right? I can sit here and make Wayne's World, but if nobody's watching it, then I didn't make anything at all. And so the fact that I actually have an audience, that's what's astonishing to me. I will very likely be receiving a YouTube Play Button award. Actually, they're called the YouTube Creator Awards, I believe. The silver play button is entirely a colloquialism. But anyway, I'll be receiving one of those probably in the next couple weeks, and I would love to pretend to be aloof about that. You know, like, let's be real. It's an award from an employer, and not even one that formally employs me. I'm a contractor, like the way Uber prevents themselves from having to give their employees any benefits. You know, it's a cheap plastic pen printed with the company name that anonymously commemorates 5 years of service. So it should mean nothing to me, but that would be a lie if I said that, because who cares what YouTube thinks? What's exciting is that I captured the attention and appreciation of a remarkable number of people. How many people get to interact with 100,000 people at all, especially, you know, with this on this scale? I don't mean to cast aspersions on anyone who's putting in good faith effort, but we all know that there are YouTube channels out there that do not deserve the attention they have. Like, many of them do, but then there are ones that just upload stolen content and get 5 million viewers somehow. Is it all bots? I don't know. And there's the ones that are just low, the ones that get all their attention, all their audience through cheap, hollow edginess and that sort of thing. But I feel like I earned this. I feel like I worked hard, and every view that I've gotten has been on my merits. I don't see what other conclusion I could draw. I can't think of any other reason people would come here. I sure don't think I've made the best clickbait. So apparently people are coming to watch me because my stuff is, I guess it must be good, or at least decent. And if I feel otherwise, people are going to drown me in contradictions. So I just have to roll with that. So the truth is that after many years of just stumbling forward in life, doing whatever came next, you know, just putting one foot in front of the other on the long march to the grave, I have found something that people apparently like and want me to do. And in doing it, I have realized that what I really had always wanted to do and didn't know is to work in video, to work in television. I just didn't figure it out till a couple years ago. And I think it's probably a little bit too late to move to Los Angeles and start pounding the pavement at 33 looking for, you know, entry-level jobs in a studio, running a camera or something, or God forbid, trying to get work as an actor or a show host. I mean, I don't even think I'm really cut out for proper television. I don't think what we did today would fly on, you know, Good Morning America. So certainly not in the world of television that exists now. Maybe if I'd figured it out decades ago, you know, when I was 17, and, you know, done that instead of going into computer stuff, you know, for as long as I did, that would be what I'm doing right now. But to use the phrase that my girlfriend so aptly coined, this channel, at least lately, is about lost futures. I thought that was a fantastic name for a video series. Like that, she said that phrase, lost futures, that I used for the title of my Sony Vaio video, and I instantly, it just clicked. And I went back and I started redesigning. I suddenly saw what I was trying to do, and I went back and redesigned a bunch of my thumbnails, and I made up a bunch of other like show names. I just have a better vision for what it is I'm trying to do here. There's a lot of people who cover nostalgia on their channels, or at least they talk about things that used to be popular. And I don't really do that, generally speaking. I cover stuff that I never had, and increasingly stuff that I never knew existed, usually because it wasn't successful. And so I spent a lot of my time thinking about worlds we could have had instead of this one. So if my normal job here on the channel is to imagine a world where weird things became normal, then on this special day that's unlikely to be matched in the near future, I figured it would be a nice treat to myself to pretend that I got the job I never knew I wanted until it was kind of too late. I'd written here that I didn't know if I'd ever do a live show like this again. Obviously, I think at this point, this was fun. It was great. I'm not going to do one that's 8 hours long, but I think in the future, if I can wrangle it, I think I'd like to make it a regular thing, or at least an irregular thing, to do this with you know, 3 or 4 guests. I think the guests were fantastic. I think we all had a great time with that. I think that I've always had trouble understanding what it is that I'm good at, but I think I did a pretty good job, if I say so myself, of drawing out the performances. And if that's something that I can do, then I can get other people on here. We can do other things. And you know, there's some people up in this area who have some cool stories and some cool things. Yeah, maybe that's something I'll do. But whether I do or don't, at least I've done one now, one show under my belt that I'm very pleased with, and I'm incredibly grateful to all of you, to my audience, for showing up and playing in this space with me, for pretending that we're making real TV. You know, it's real TV if there's people watching it, right? So I want to thank you all, and I want to thank the friends who helped me carry this whole thing. I want to thank my crew, some of whom have chosen to remain kind of anonymous, but thank you so much, Daria. I love you so much already, but even more now that you made this show work. She has supported me better than anyone deserves. I do just want to say one more time, because I think a lot of people missed my intro, and I do feel it's okay for me to say this, that I had the donate link up today. And I just want to remind you that I put that up because last time was a fundraiser, right? I was looking for money to make my studio work. And fortunately, people provided it. But today, I did this for me. And if you watch this, and if you enjoyed it, and if you want to throw some money my way, think of it as a birthday present. This is like a birthday, a birth of a, you know, something at least that I appear to have built, and I would love to go get myself a nice present to commemorate it and relax a little bit. So if you'd like to buy me a little special something because you like what I do, then consider throwing some money in the coffee. Got the link there on the screen there. I'm not saying like, hey, if you gotta pay up. I'm just saying that if you'd like me to go buy myself a gaming laptop and enjoy myself relaxing for once, which I haven't done in ages, then you know where to do it. So if you do or don't, no big deal. I just thought I'd let you know that's the plan. It's not just for business expenses. So anyway, thank you all again for watching. Hopefully I'll see you in the future on another one of these. And until the next video, have a good night.
Red and black.